Believe me when I say you couldn't be more wrong. But I'm already through with you, tired of this same old view. I think it's time for me to let you know. You must have lost your mind.
This is a much anticipated lens from Fujifilm, but this specific lens is not done. It's a pre-production sample from the company that doesn't have the final coatings that the retail version will have. And as a result, this specific lens will be prone to more ghosting and flaring than the one that will hit store shelves. With that said, I think this may still be my new favorite Fujifilm lens for the X mount.
But God might be on vacation, and the promised land ain't never promised. My baby telling me to be patient, but the devil always working overnight, my darling.
The Fujifilm XF 23mm F1.4 R LMWR replaces the existing 23mm F1.4 lens and looks to outperform it in every meaningful way. I'll make a video in the future comparing this lens to its counterparts, but here I just want to give you my early thoughts after using it for a couple of weeks. Holding this thing feels like grabbing half a can of Coke. It's slightly shorter than the 18mm f1.4, slightly taller than the 33mm f1.4, and at 375 grams, this new lens is something that you wouldn't overtly call heavy. This lens also has a 58mm filter size like the 33mm cousin, and similarly has 5 special optical elements that should mean compared to every other 23mm lens that Fujifilm produces, this is the best 35mm equivalent lens in their lineup. Is it though? This video is my first review, a type of video where I share my early thoughts on a product after 1 to 3 weeks of regular use. I'll follow this up with my honest review, which is a bigger production that encompasses all my thoughts after 5 to 8 weeks of use across various photo shoots. The reason I'm saying this explicitly in this video is because this lens that I'm testing right now is not the final product according to Fujifilm. It should only get better by the time it ships. With that said, what do I think so far? I think it's brilliant. This lens focuses incredibly fast, and from my experience so far, seems to focus just as fast, if not faster, than the 23mm f2.0. While you lose the manual focus clutch from its predecessor, the improved optics and weather sealing make for a worthy trade that most people are okay with. The pictures I captured came out really great, where sharpness was on point and the autofocus areas were pleasing and predictable. Even at f1.4, you'll have tack sharp subjects where you can't really say this about every X-mount lens. While the weight and length of this lens may be trickier to maneuver compared to the 23 f2, I don't feel that this is unwieldy in a way by any means. In fact, for many photographers, this might feel like the perfect pairing to your Fuji body. The value of this lens is made exponentially better by how it performs for video. Because of its equivalent focal length, you have a versatile perspective that couples fantastic optics as well. The focus breathing is manageable and in some situations unnoticeable. The upgraded focusing system means that you can rely on this lens in dynamic environments when paired to modern Fujifilm cameras, especially for talking head points like this. Now, I want to save my final thoughts for a future video, and it might be a while since this lens has been delayed into the new year, but I think it's safe to say that video shooters on the Fujifilm system should be excited about this lens. Of all the products that Fujifilm has announced this year, this lens has me the most excited. The 35mm equivalent focal length is my favorite, and I've thought many times about an upgraded offering from Fujifilm in this space. For better or for worse, the Fuji 23 f2 review is one of my most watched videos, and while I cringe at the lack of production quality, my thoughts have only cemented even further on that lens. That lens gets a lot of shit, especially from people that aren't full-time photographers, and it's unfortunate because it might be the best budget prime lens for the Fujifilm. This lens, on the other hand, looks to be the new bar, a near perfect 35mm focal length from the X mount that enthusiasts and professionals can rely on. The overall feel and polish of this lens are impressive, and small details like the dedicated aperture lock mean that the user experience in the field is more reliable. While this specific unit did show some exaggerated flares and ghosting, the fact that Fujifilm pointed this out proactively and delayed it and really just confirmed the entire thing was going to be mitigated in the final product when it is released, well, that has me optimistic. Okay, that's a very professional way of me saying I'm probably going to buy this lens to replace my 23 f2, and hopefully that review will be watched by many more people than whatever this guy made. If you've made it this far, I have to first say thank you, because that may be the biggest compliment that you can give this channel of mine. And second, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. It goes a long way in helping the growth and discovery of these videos, and more importantly, gets us closer to making the content we really look to produce. With that said, as always, my name's Gadgen. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.